Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the committee's indulgence here while we're drifting back in. This is an area that for the last 5 years I've been on the Budget Committee, I have been focusing. To be able to make sure that we are dealing with another deficit that is every bit as important as the budget deficit, and that deals with our deficit for transportation and infrastructure. The Society for Civil Engineers suggests that we are in the neighborhood of $2.25 trillion of unmet needs just in the next 5 years. It's been my privilege to travel around the country, including some of your districts. I see my good friend, Mr. Simpson, where we had a great session in Boise, talking about the unmet needs, talking about the courage of our former colleague, Butch Otter, to try and step up and get the resources needed in Idaho. And it was eye-opening for me, I must say, and I appreciate your courtesy, Mike. As some of you know, we have been working on an ongoing basis. We've had hearings before this committee in prior sessions where we have been able to bring in a very significant coalition. Because you can find truckers, cyclists, AAA, contractors, union, pavers, local governments, engineers, all agreeing on the need to deal with this massive, unmet transportation and infrastructure deficit. Unfortunately, the budget that we have before us speaks to more than a 30% reduction from where we are today, let alone what we need to do in the future. I am offering an amendment for the consideration of the committee to start in a small way to indicate that the Budget Committee understands the needs that are articulated by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, by the pavers, the concrete people, the construction unions, local governments, across the board, who would have us increase our investment in infrastructure, even if that meant raising user fees, like the oft-quoted Ronald Reagan, I remember my friend from Oklahoma, who in 1982 put through a nickel a gallon increase in the gas tax user fee. Well, I'm not certain that we're going to be doing that anytime soon, but we can start indicating that we are listening to our contractors, to our local governments, to our citizens who are stuck in traffic, whose children cannot get to school safely, where we are seeing cutbacks in transit at precisely the time more people are relying on it. Just as important as what we would invest it in terms of transportation options, is where the resource would come from. I have worked with some members on this committee in the past because of the outrageous ethanol subsidies. Some $40 billion that we have invested since 1980. Is it more than 40, Mike? I'm 40 billion? You and I weren't working on that one. It's other members. Corn-based ethanol, it's going to cost us in the neighborhood of $5 billion this year. This is a subsidy that we mandate be in the production stream. We've already mandated that it has to be used in fuel across the country. Again, it's an area that where the energy use for the production of corn-based ethanol actually may be more than the energy that is produced as a result. It is in no small measure why we've got a dead zone at the mouth of the Mississippi River about the size of Delaware. It is why in some cases we're actually having reductions in fuel efficiency. By starting to phase this out, and we're only asking for $1 billion, we're doing three things. One, these are items that can make a difference economically tomorrow. These are things that are really job ready, shovel ready, that we can move forward. The infrastructure investment in the Recovery Act actually produced most of the jobs. Unlike some of us wanted more in infrastructure rather than the over 40% in tax cuts which the public didn't know they got and actually didn't produce the jobs. And if you listen to your contractors the next time they come to town, they will tell you that those jobs on the ground created economic opportunity and in some cases kept some of those contractors afloat. They were basically bidding for payroll. Well, here's an opportunity to help in an economic sense. Here's an opportunity to help strengthen our communities so kids can get to school safely. We can fight congestion. We can deal with the range of things that speak to the Tiger grants, where we had 20 times as many applications from communities as we were able to fund. And we start phasing down an egregious, unnecessary, market-distorting ethanol subsidy that has negative consequences for other producers. For example, people who use corn to feed animals, not just people. So I would respectfully request that we take a step back, look at this, although listening carefully to my friend from Boise about what he has to say. But this is an area that shifting the subsidy to our communities, putting people to work, making communities more livable, healthy, and economically secure, I think is something that we all ought to be able to agree upon.